America's godly heritage dates back more than 400 years, but many people ignore the fact that the United States was founded on biblical principles. A few months ago, In Touch broadcast a very special message from historian David Barton entitled, "Is America a Christian Nation?" The response was so overwhelming that we're airing this important program again for Veterans Day. David Barton is the founder and president of Wall Builders, an organization that presents America's forgotten history and heroes with an emphasis on our nation's moral and religious heritage. An expert in historical and constitutional issues, David also is a best-selling author and was named by Time magazine as one of America's 25 most influential evangelicals. After the message, join David and me when we discuss how rediscovering the truth about American history can help lead us to a brighter future. Obey God and leave all the consequences to Him. You fight your battles on your knees. We reap what we sow, more than we sow, and later than we sow. Stand tallest and strongest on our knees. If necessary, God will move heaven and earth to show us His will.
It is an honor to be with you this morning, and we really have a remarkably blessed history in America. I'm going to share some of that with you this morning, and let me kind of say up front that we've been very blessed in our organization, Wall Builders. We have about 100,000 documents that predate 1812, so I'm going to show you some of those really old documents this morning, but we've got thousands of documents of those who signed the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, and documents from black history and constitutional history and church history and military, you name it. And it's a lot of fun to go back and look at that. And so what I want to do this morning and kind of turn in that direction is just to remind us that this is really the time of the year when we start to celebrate. But it's also a time when we specifically celebrate what it was that 56 individuals did when they gave us the Declaration of Independence. That declaration is literally the foundation of our government. That is the foundation on which they later erected the Constitution of the United States. And to this day, we continue to hold the Declaration as our foundational document. Right below the Declaration, it holds the Declaration up. Article 7 of the Constitution brings the Constitution right on top of that Declaration. So both documents go together. So when you look at what we have with our form of government that we celebrate every year on our birthday, the 4th of July, it has produced what is now known as American exceptionalism. Now, that term is a term that we don't use much in schools anymore, but it's a term that we used in previous generations. It was a term that was actually introduced back in the 1830s by a man named Alexis de Tocqueville. You may recall Alexis de Tocqueville because he's the guy who did the famous book, Democracy in America. What he did was he came to America from 1831 to 1835, traveled across the nation. He was from Europe, he was from France. He said, "You know what those Americans are doing is really special. It's really different. We've never seen any of that kind of stuff here in Europe. Why are they so different?" And so he went for 4 years and went all over the nation looking to see what made us different, went back, and for Europeans and for Frenchmen, he wrote the book to say, here's what's different about America. Here's why they are what they are. And after having looked closely at this nation for 4 years, this is what he said back in the 1830s. He talked about what we call American exceptionalism. He said, "The position of the Americans is quite exceptional, and it may be believed that no democratic people will ever be placed in a similar one." We were only 50 years old. He said, "Man, when I look at what those Americans are doing, it's exceptional. I don't think any other nation will ever do what they've done." So that term, American exceptionalism, has proven to be an accurate term. As a matter of fact, if you look at where we are today in America, we've had one form of government. That declaration, we've had one form of government. And if you look at other nations in the world, it's been quite different. Same period of time, we've had one form of government. France has had 15 different governments just in the same period of time. If you look even at just the 20th century, Afghanistan had 5 different constitutions of the 20th century. Poland's had 7 since 1921. You've had Russia with 4 since 1917, and you can go through the other nations as well. If you look at the United Nations this year, there's 192 nations at the UN, and that number goes up and down every year. Depends on who conquers whom and who revolts from who and who starts their own nation. 192 nations this year. America is the only nation in the world that does not average a revolution every 30 to 40 years. And we kind of take it for granted. We just assume that stability is natural, and stability is not natural. As a matter of fact, Jesus told us there should be wars and rumors of wars.